Welcome to tonight's transmission of the Ministry of Assumption Absolute. My name is Lucien Francois Mateo St. James. I am a spiritual epidemiologist, and I'm here to encourage you in knowing with empowered conviction the truth of your transcendent divinity. Thank you for co-creating this moment with me. You want to enter your state of afterlife. You want to materialize all of the conceptions of your mind. Well, you will need to consider this. Now, I'm always talking about the process of death and rebirth. I think each day really is a cycle. As the sun goes down, as the moon comes up, as the moon goes down, and as the sun comes up again. That's a process of death and rebirth. I think things are always, everything's moving, everything's, you're born a little bit every day and you die a little bit every day, even on like a cellular level. I think there's a statistic or something that your cells like regenerate like every single, like all of your cells are like a brand new state or something every 7 years. I don't know. I heard that somewhere like 10 years ago. I'm not sure. You might have to, you'll have to, I will tell you when to fact check me because I have loosely studied so many things. I loosely know a lot of different things. Or there's that philosophy problem with like the ship that like each piece of the ship is replaced at a certain interval of time, and over over a period of time, eventually the whole ship is new. So then there's the question, like, is it still the same ship? So I view that as life, and our experience here being like, okay, well, what is your purpose, or what is the afterlife? What is the purpose of life? Alan Watts talks about the fact that like the purpose of life is like just to live, is just to exist. Now that doesn't mean like drifting aimlessly or doing nothing or rotting somewhere and not contributing anything to yourself. And as you contribute to yourself, you contribute to the collective vibration, obviously. It's not about like, just allowing yourself to descend into nothingness, but if you were to think of the world as a free play game where you already beat, I don't know if you've ever had this experience. I have not, because I haven't played video games in very many years, and I have never finished one. But if you were to think about like finishing one of those open world sandbox or RPG type games, and now what's left is just for you to just be, to just live, to just like find something for yourself to find something to occupy yourself with during your time here. That's what I view the purpose. So you might have many purposes in life. Generally, I view my purpose in life is to learn and to teach. And what I learn and teach, changes every single day. And maybe in 5 years, I might have a different answer. Maybe tomorrow I might have a totally different answer. So we get really, really fixed on like, what's our purpose in life and like, what are we supposed to be doing? And then when we feel like we don't know what we're supposed to be doing, we start clinging to the material world and we start looking for indications outside of us to tell us that, hey, I'm doing okay. I have this material possession, or I have this relationship, or I have this accomplishment or accolade, and that tells me that I'm on the right track. But there's nothing that can really verify for you. I've even like done all the things that society tells us. Not all the things, but like I went a pretty standard path in my early 20s, went to college and all that other stuff, and marriage, and and it's not that any of those things, it's not that like college and marriage and getting a job and any of that is necessarily like negative or wrong or bad. It's just that like I was seeking a path outside of myself because I was not willing to look within, because I wasn't seeing or understanding the world as like a free play sandbox mode where like you get to design what you want to do. There's nobody to tell you if you're doing things right or wrong, and there's nothing on the outside that's going to validate for you that you're whole, that you're worthy, that you're complete, that you're divinity incarnate. So my ideology that I teach is that the afterlife is already here, or that like you already beat all the missions. There's nothing else to do other than for you to design your experience of the game, and the way you design your experience for the game could be fine then termed purpose for I guess for, if that's how you would choose to categorize how you fill your time in the game. If it falls under a grouping of category of things you would consider to be a purpose. But tonight's message is inspired by home movies. I take a lot of inspiration from pop culture, media. I'm a postmodernist, I think, at heart. And there's a home movies episode where Jason is a character and he's like longing and lusting and fixated on this, they're in fourth grade, this other character, I think her name's Penny. And he's like stalking her and is like obsessed. And then he brings his friend, the main character, Brendan, in to be a wingman. And then Penny ends up falling in love with, or falling in like, I guess, with Brendan. And there's a big confusion. And at the end, everything gets sorted out. And this is basically the plot of the episode. This is 30 minutes of him fumbling over his words and stalking her, and Brendan getting involved, and then Brendan being too involved and being like, I want to get out of this, and Jason not stepping up and saying, I'm the person Brendan was talking about. And there's just all this just going on. That's the episode. And at the end, then Jason and Penny finally meet. And she's like, oh, hey, yeah, I've heard so much about you. And she's flirting. And he's like, okay, do you want to go out with me? And she's like, yeah, sure. And he's like, really? It was that easy? And she's like, yeah, I guess so. You asked me out. I said, yes. And then he's like, it's not as fun as stalking you and being in the bushes and doing all the things. And I forget what she says. And then he's like, you want to break up? And she's like, well, we've been together all of 1 minute. So like, I guess. And I was like, oh my God, that's one of the things that we need to die unto to enter the afterlife, is you have to die unto your longing, because there's something erotic about longing. There's something emotionally stimulating and titillating about wanting and longing and desiring for something and not having it. And all of the emotional ups and downs that come along with, well, today I felt like I was in state and I had it, and the rest of the last week I wasn't in state, and I need a new tip or I need a new trick, which the only trick is you. Like, you are the technique. It is your state of I am. But more importantly, what I'm pointing to in this video, Neville Goddard talks about this, the feeling being the secret. And erroneously, I understood this in my early 20s to mean I gotta be on top of everything all the time. I have to be psychotically, positively insane, which like didn't work. It like made my depression just, it exacerbated the hell out of that. Because I was just trying to force myself to feel something that I didn't feel all the time. And that was not very effective. If anything, it created more of a sense of distance between me and that which I desired, because I was constantly trying to force myself to feel something that I didn't have, because it wasn't rooted in anything real, because I just thought that I had to be excited and ecstatic all the time in order to get the thing. And I was doing this thing, I was trying to force myself to feel an emotion to get the thing, which was really just a reinforcement of the fact that I didn't have it, on top of trying to feel happy about something, and knowing that that wasn't the truth, and that desperate bottom was always sitting there waiting to confront me. Which you didn't need to follow any of that. Basically, what I'm saying is that that didn't work. But what I later understood feeling is a secret to be is a sense of, I don't know what I would call it, like contentment. I messed that word up a few videos ago. But like a sense of peace and of calm and of knowing, or I'll describe it this way. If you've had an experience, or just imagine if you haven't, with toxic relationships, and then you do your inner child work, you do your healing, and then you go out into the world and you try to find somebody who's not addicted to collapses and not addicted to highs and to lows, and is not always threatening to leave, or is not unhealthily attached and has their own life going on. It can seem almost boring, and you want your afterlife, essentially, or your material, whatever it is you are manifesting in state with the power of your I am, which again, we've narrowed those down to freedom, peace, joy, abundance, clarity. the materials then just being representations, mental, physical representations of the mental conceptions of usually one of those 5 states. I'm not saying that's exhaustive, but like generally the things we want have something to do with peace, freedom, joy, abundance, and clarity. And you want it to be kind of boring to you, or kind of just more like a given, talking about feeling as a secret. So tonight's message then being that story I told with home movies, is it you there's something that's almost exciting about not having what you want, and you have to be able to bury, not desire, but bury longing and be able to sit with, yes, the visualization of the materialization, but more importantly, the emotional state that would gift you, that would bring to you, and allow that emotional state to become you in the state of your I am. You want your field just radiating that emotional experience of having and acquiring that thing. Because like when you're desperate for money, there's like a fixation with money, there's an obsession with money, there's all these cyclical thoughts about what am I gonna do, there's an escalation, there's emotional heightening. It's not to say that anybody, and I've been on all ends of the spectrum in any place, it's not to say that you necessarily enjoy I wouldn't say that you necessarily enjoy not getting what you want, but I'm saying that it is very emotionally stimulating, and it takes up a lot of mental real estate to always be, when am I going to get it? When is it not here? Here's why it's not here. The fact that it's not here means this. Oh God, now I'm feeling worse. The worse I feel, the more I don't get what I want, the more that my belief systems reinforce that worldview. Now because of my worldview, my world is getting worse. Oh God, oh me, oh my. And that there's something very consuming about longing and about yearning. Now, I'm a romantic. I love me a good longing. I love to look at somebody over there and be like, ooh, or a thing. Or there's nothing wrong about having desires or having that sense. You wouldn't be watching this video if you weren't in line with that. That sense of being that knows that, like, I deserve more in life. I'm not telling you to stop yearning. I'm saying you have to, or you don't have to do anything, but these are, mental leakage from the liminal, my liminal, at least, the moment that you co-created. I'm not telling you anything. I'm just helping you remember. I'm just another aspect, version of you that you came into contact with, so you don't have to do anything. But what I am inviting you to do in order to enter your afterlife or your free play sandbox game mode more effectively is to bury, because I'm always talking about death and rebirth, is to bury longing. And I don't mean bury desire. I don't mean the conception of that which you see in your mind as belonging to you. I'm saying bury the idea that it is separate from you, because there's something so emotionally consuming about that idea of separation, that I'm over here and this is over here, and I have to figure out and spend all my time of how I'm going to get over here. Or it's like totally different if you're dating a guy or a girl or they, them, or somebody that doesn't identify with any of it. It's one thing if you're like, is he cheating on me? Is he texting her? Oh, is she out at the bar with another guy? Well, she accepted a beer from another guy. What does that mean? Okay, well, now I have to huff and puff and make my space known that I belong to this person and that they belong to me. She's not acting like she belongs to me. What do I need to do to get her to belong? Like, do you see how consuming all of that is? It's totally different if you're in a relationship with somebody and they're going out and you're like, okay, I'll see you. Have a good time. And you play solitaire, I don't know, read a book, and they come back and they're like, how was your night? And you say, it was great. How was yours? I had a lot of fun with the guys and girls of AMs. It was good. Okay, I'm saying what I'm painting through that illustration is like having the knowledge that that person is already yours. No, that language is bad. That person is their own person. Nobody belongs to anybody. Last thing you should try to do, tell you from experience, is try to possess love. Try to possess anything. You don't even possess yourself. How the hell are you going to possess anybody else? But to just know that I am in a relationship with this person. They choose to be here, I choose to be here, and that's it. And should they not choose to be here, I might be hurt, but I'll be okay because I have myself and I'm already whole and complete. That's totally different than like this mental fixation of like, oh my God, what are they doing and how do I control it? Because I feel separate from that which I desire, so I have to always cling and trap and this. I have to make sure it's always here. That way I feel safe. So you put that to rest. You bury it. I'm always talking about death and rebirth. You bury longing. You don't bury desire. You don't bury the idea of what you want. You bury the idea that it's separate from you, that whole emotional pendulum of is it here, is it not, is it here, is it not? Because if you were to sit in the vibration of having it, you wouldn't be always worried about it leaving you. I mean, just think about the device that you're watching this on. You're not always like, where is it? I mean, sure, we get forgetful every now and again. I'm sure there's somebody that's, perpetually losing their phone, but I don't mean in that way. I mean, you know that it's yours, you know that it's paid for, you know that it's in your possession, you know that it is going to even be somewhere around your, general region of space. You know that. You're not always excited, you're not always ecstatic, you're not always like, oh, rah, 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 yes, I have a... Now, I would suggest you practice gratitude as well, because the more you are able to embody a sense of abundance, not just about the things that you have, because again, it's really not about the things. I hope if you get anything I'm saying, it's really not about the things. It's really not about the things. The things come. I think in the Bible, I just don't know I don't have the exact verse. I'll pull it up. The exact verse that, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all these things will be added to you. That's what that's saying. Is like, it's not really about the stuff. Like, the stuff is cool, the stuff is great, you'll get the stuff. But to be grateful for the things that you have now, it's not saying this is all I ever want or that I have no other desires that have not yet materialized. It's saying that I already am fulfilled. Okay, well, that state of fulfillment and of abundance and of gratitude then is going to be conducive to you materializing when you do then visualize that which represents your everything, your afterlife. That state's going to be conducive to that. If you have a state that is focused in lack and of, again, that longing of what you don't have, and then you're visualizing, if your primary state is I don't have what I want, but yet I'm visualizing in a very small scope of time, maybe for 5 minutes a day or 15 minutes a day, I'm visualizing having what I want, but my predominant state says that I don't like anything in my life. I don't like myself. I don't like my surroundings. I don't like what's going on. I hate everything. I'm full of mental dis-ease. But then I'm visualizing a new car. Like, I don't even like enjoy the word alignment. But quite literally, I mean, those two, that state and that desire, those are not in line with each other. That doesn't make sense. So it's really all about state. And that state being an emotional experience then of gratitude. I love what I have now. I can sit in what I have now. I know I'm already whole. I know I'm already complete. I know the game is already done. And my job here is just to find different activities, different meaningful endeavors that allow me to express and enjoy my individualized fragment of God consciousness, of the all that is, because you are the all that is, but we're not experiencing the all that is. You're experiencing your slice of it, your perspective of it. So what might I do with my time if the game is already finished, if I was living in the afterlife, if I'm in heaven mode and it's already done? Well, I'm inviting you tonight to bury longing, to put it to rest, to have a grave and a wake and a whole procession for longing, of knowing that you already have everything you want. And what I mean by putting that to rest is that there can be a kind of grief with that. Or if you've, with the relationships, as I said, if you've been in a series of really unhealthy, up and down type, quote unquote toxic relationships, a healthy relationship is not going to be as emotionally, highs and lows, and are they staying and are they going? And the different abuses and the makeup sex. And I did mean to say that, baby, oh God, please forgive me. I don't know if I'm going to forgive you, but I probably will, because my parents taught me that I should forgive people that hurt me unconditionally, because that's the only way I'm going to experience love. Oh God, now I'm reliving that unconsciously. It's not all of that. It's just, I'm not saying healthy relationships are perfect, but it's not all of that. When you have what you want, it's not that all of that back and forthness. It's to sit in the peace of freedom, joy, beauty, abundance, clarity. I switch them out sometimes. But to sit in that, because it's really all about you. It's about your state. It is about what you are able to embody with a sense of regularity. And that's why you have to meditate, because if you've got kids and phones and jobs and look at YouTube videos and social media and dinner and the dog is sick, I don't know why I'm always like, I don't have any pets. I don't know why I'm always like ripping on sick dogs. I mean, I look at people that have dogs and they're always like, oh, Charlie's got diabetes and has to get an insulin shot every 2 days and can only eat this special $80 food. And, now he needs a gastric bypass. And I mean, like, dogs just seem like hell. Like, I don't know. I mean, like, on one hand, dogs are pure source consciousness. So, I mean, you get really kind of a direct access of the divine. Same with cats. It's just a different frequency. I definitely think it's more mysterious, feminine frequency. But, dogs are just fully there. They're just fully in the moment. I think a dog could be very healthy for a person to have. But God, freaking, Bob the dog's got tongue cancer. It's just like, I would never welcome that type of chaos into my life. But anyway, wildly off topic, but it's all connected. It's all connected. You put longing to rest, and you understand that there will be a grief period for you to just sit with the reality. And the grief period will also be the grief will not only be a response to, there's not all of this back and forth. I'm just sitting in the state of my consciousness, in the state of my I am, in the state of God. I'm attuning my attention to being and having everything that I could ever desire, because it's all here right now, and not seeing that in a 3D reality. There is high frequency guru, definitely look her up. Her subliminals have totally changed my life. But she released a text post statement not too long ago and I really liked this, where she said that you get everything that you want now, but reality has to buffer, like kind of going back to this video game, simulation, holographic, fractal reality type of idea, position, that reality's buffering when you don't see it immediately, that it happens, but that it has to, really kind of like pixelate and generate. I thought that was a really cool idea. So the grief will be a loss of the emotional chaos that goes along with, do I have it? Do I not? Do I have it? Do I not? But there will also be, I've shed tears understanding that it could have been this way all of the time. Like when I first became initiated to my afterlife, I shed a lot of tears just realizing that it's already done, and that it could have been done all the time, and I shed a lot of tears, like literal tears. I cry all the time. I think you should cry. I think you should release. But there were a lot of tears over the fact that I did all of these things. God, I did all of these things. I killed myself striving and efforting and striving when I didn't have to. Everything that I ever did, and this will be I imagine the same for you, everything that I ever did led me back to myself. And what I mean by that is it failed. If I tried to reach for love outside of myself, that failed, because I was already in a state of I don't have love. So then the representation that I found showed me the energetic state of my origin, which is I don't have love. It was then a mirror representation of I don't have love. And that led me back to myself to mirror, oh, I was sitting in the state of I don't have love. Your job doesn't pay you. You pay yourself. And that's what you've decided you're worth. but rather you've allowed yourself to allow the simulation to tell you what you're worth, and you've continued to assign that to yourself. That base reality, you accepted that base reality as truth and then assigned it to yourself. Your job doesn't pay you, you pay you. You are money. You are the origin conception point of everything in your life. It's you. It's the state of what you've accepted as common for you as normal. Like, what can you generally agree with in a state of calm for yourself? And it's your thoughts and it's your attention. That's what's manifest in your life. So with that, bury that, bury longing and grieve it. You're going to grieve that it could have been easy all along, and you're going to grieve the fact that there's no more push and pull. There's no more, oh God, where is it? There's no more anxiety and depression. I'm not saying it's going to cure you. I'm not, you don't have emotions. I'm not saying that, but I'm telling you, there's no long bouts of like, oh God, if I don't get it, I'm never going to blah, 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 blah. It's just there. It's just done. It is a much more peaceful way to live, but no, it's not as exciting. One thing I've told my clients in recovery, they're like, well, I'm not in recovery, but like I used to do a lot of things and now I don't. And I've definitely been a relationship addict. And we've had conversations about, well, I got to find something to replace it with. And I'm like, well, you absolutely should. I think every alcoholic should have a replacement beverage. I like lemon water, or smoothies. I love smoothies. I consecrate the smoothies and, make them this big holy sacred, this holy sacred thing. I'm drinking these blood smoothies, but you got to have something to replace it with. But the thing is that nothing else is going to replace. So this is my last point. Nothing else, even on a neurochemical level, is going to replace, if your brain is meant to go up to 100 nanograms per deciliter of dopamine and you're drinking all the time and you're surging it way over natural levels, or you're doing amphetamines, or you're doing, cocaine, or you're doing marijuana, or you're doing these other things, nothing is going to replace that, because you are ingesting illicit substances and peaking your body past levels of neurochemical imbalance that will not be experienced ever again, in a natural, homeostatic, biological environment. So yes, you find a replacement, but that replacement will not feel the same. So the reason that I shared that with you, not because, we're talking about addiction here, or dependency, but the reason that I shared that is because sitting, and this is kind of strange to say, but, sitting in the state of peace and of freedom and abundance and gratitude and accepting and actually receiving everything that you've been yearning for, it should feel kind of, I won't say flatline, but it's smooth. It's not all this jagged up and down chaos. It's not there's not going to be like, when actually getting what you want is not near, as Jason found out, is not near as exciting as chasing and wanting and longing for it. It's not near as exciting because there's a lot of emotional uncertainty and tightroping. To have it is just to be, it's just to sit with it, to understand that you are just a chosen face of the universe expressing itself. You're not even anybody. There's nothing to stress about. With that, signing off of tonight's transmission of the Ministry of Assumption Absolute, brought to you by and courtesy of the Electric Temple. My name is Lucian Francois Mateo, St. James. Thank you for co-creating this moment with me. Make sure to check out the Liberation Chronicle. That link will be provided for you down below. That is the written word of this platform. And Dispatches from the Edge of Obvious, a Spotify exclusive podcast. And that is linked in the bio. So lots of opportunity to make contact. And if you join the Substack community of just Substackers, you'll have more direct access to me as well, my poetry, my musings, and the different things that I come up with as the days go on. Remember to be good to yourselves and others, because everybody's just an expression of you anyhow.